Hey everyone, time for Geocache Talk. Whether you're at work, in the car, wherever you are, we hope you enjoy the show. Please go like and subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, Overcast, Radio Public, and Spotify. Then you get all the weekly Geocache Talk goodness. Big thanks to the Travel Bugs for the music and our featured patrons, Sodak Zach, the Deadliest Cachers, Terrell 2, Neil Moore, and Team D&D. If you'd like to become a patron, head on over to patreon.com/geocache talk for more details. Patrons get the new blackout coins right there.
Ooh, nice.
Showing on the screen. And other geocaching items during the year, as well as bonus content, invites to special events only for patrons. Support levels start at as little as $3 a month. And we still have one item we can't talk about that we're doing for the patrons, but details. No, I don't know how soon we can talk about that, Jesse, but we'll pretty soon. As soon as we can, we've got something to tell the patrons. Yeah, everybody's already drinking some beverage because I'm talking about something in the future.
That's right.
But it's a cool thing in the works that Jesse and I are doing with someone, and it's for the patrons who are really working on a cool thing for that. So anyway, let me welcome said co-host Jesse.
I'm already in there playing with the chat room. Good evening. Somebody already asked, are we talking about old cachers or caches tonight?
Right, both. No,
that's kind of mean. That's kind of hurtful.
I know it is. That was kind of my joke this week on in the Twitter world was, hey, come listen to the show or come watch the show and discuss the ancient ones. It's like, no, not Jesse and I.
That's right.
The ancient caches. So
some days it feels like that though.
Yeah. All right, so let's jump into show 123 for November 4th as we discuss geocaching memory lane.
This is always fun too because when we research for one of these shows, and I'm sure everybody does this, but you're going back and looking through your geocaching records for a certain topic. Yep. It's interesting because it's going down memory lane. You're seeing pictures from a couple years ago, maybe of your family, or I remember that trip or whatever. So it's a nice little travel log.
Yeah, and I think it is a fun thing. We're gonna talk about some interesting things we've either found, even things we haven't found. But I think the neat thing is that one of the things I did, putting it out on Facebook and Twitter and such, is I took the photos we took, Jesse, you and I, at not walk in the park,
yeah.
where you finished got your 5,000th, you finished Jasmer. And I also used some photos from Mingo because it's Mingo, but
it's Mingo.
It's Mingo. But I got some updates from Laura Wilson. I'm a mess up her last name. I'm sorry, but Lazen. And she actually went out there today, Jesse, to No Walk in the Park, and she said that area, and I don't remember it being. Well, we've had a ton of rain here in the North Texas area, and she says we have had a ton of rain. She's in park closings like crazy, so she ran out to a welfare check on this one today. She says the water is within 3 or 4 feet of that cache.
Oh wow!
I mean, I don't remember there being water.
Well, it was a ditch, remember? Because when we finally found it, it was kind of down a hill a little bit, so I could see how it would be.
But yeah, insane. She said that at one point it was submerged for several months back in 2015. It's not in bad shape after the water finally went down, she said. So that's crazy. It's
amazing how they last so long.
Right. Yeah. Well, hopefully.
Yeah. They don't usually last in their original container, but
No, that's true. And we'll kind of get into that as well because um, I know of one I want to talk to you about that I'm interested really to hear your opinion. But before we do that, let's do a little news.
Yeah. News.
So this week we released clues 5-3 and 6-3.
Mm-hmm.
We had to release them a little early because um, Angie wanted to put out a blog post. And so Zach accommodated and he put out his clue on Thursday. And people have already figured out, I mean, this is no surprise that clue stash 5 is Zach's, stash 4 is Zach's. I did stash 1 and stash 3, and you did stash 2, and Angie did stash 6. Anyway, but both clues are out. Got some good buzz going in the Facebook group. If you're interested in being part of that Facebook group, email us at geocachetalk@gmail.com and I'll get you the information. Heather was the one that Heather Gunter set that up, and appreciate her and the people that are in that Facebook group because it's fun I'm sort of observing and enjoying the interaction between everybody and hearing the stories of, I'm going to go after, Arkansas one. I'm going to go after, Steve Burns, like, I'm going to go after this one, and different people talking about different ones they want to go, that they're obviously closer to. And,
Right.
And in 2 weeks, we will discuss, we're going to have a show called the Big Reveal Wrap-Up Show, and we will give out all the clue number 4s.
The final clues.
The final clues, and we'll do it all on one night together. We'll have the whole Geocache Talk Network team is going to be on 2 weeks from tonight, and we're going to give you all the last clues and do a wrap-up show, talk about how it went, things we could do differently, and sort of discuss that in a little open era, forum between us, and give some of our honest opinions of what we liked, what we did not like, and it was an experiment.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said.
Well, we won't really know anything until somebody finds that first one, right?
Well, that's true, right? But we kind of, I think, have some, and this is something that even you mentioned, is like, if we don't try to do something new,
oh yeah,
we're not going to know.
It's worth a try. So this is now all of the regular clues are out. All of those are out. So you get plenty of time to work on them. We got a week to work on them without a clue coming next week. And then we're going to do the big reveal show. And then all the final really specific and really hard clues will come out all at one time. So everybody will have a chance everywhere. Everybody will have equal footing, have their shot to go get it. So
that's kind of, I think that's great that we that kind of came about, that we were going to do that. I think that it's going to work out great. That's in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Next week, we've got on Alexandra Boylan and John Katie Graham are going to be on. We're going to talk about At Your Own Risk with the producers of that movie. Hopefully you've seen it and have purchased that movie. And so we're going to talk about that next weekend. But we got some new loot. Jesse has one he wants to mention. Let me show the one I've got. A little show and tell. I'm going to show the shirt that we're putting into the loot, and then you got one that I think is really cool. We're going to add to the treasures as well. So here's the shirt. I know it's going to fit everyone, but at least the shirt, the Geocaching Doc vintage tee.
Yep.
From the Geocaching
Not
Doc.
Available anymore.
No. And then you've got one we're going to throw into the treasure chest.
Yeah, it's another virtual one, right? So
yes.
We're giving away 1 year's patron membership to Geocache Talk. So Woo! All the prizes, all the shows, everything for 1 year. If you're already a patron, it just extends it for a year. But if it's somebody that's new, that's not a patron that gets it, then they get all the patron stuff, and we got more stuff coming up too. So it'll be a good time to get in there new. More toys and behind the scenes shows and all kinds of stuff coming up.
Yes, absolutely. I need to talk with you at some point, Jesse. I had a brainstorm idea for a patron. Yeah, I know.
You guys have an idea. Something else already, huh?
No, yeah, no. I think sort of as a replacement for GC World, which we're not doing GC World really
That was
anymore.
fun though.
It was fun. We could do another GC World. I mean,
Well,
it's a
we'll get
little.
back around to it.
We might get back around to that. We're not gonna. I guess we shouldn't mothball it completely, but I've got another one to run by and see what you think. But
All right, cool. And the big news, the really big one that we got coming up,
really big news,
the Podcast of Hope.
Yes, Podcast of Hope on December 2nd. Third annual.
Yeah, that's wild.
I know. Can you imagine? Isn't that crazy? We've done this the 3 years. We're going to have it.
8-hour marathon of fundraising.
Yes.
And geocaching stuff.
Yes. Yes. But
stuff,
holiday stuff. And yeah, and this time around, we're going to have some really cool. It's always a mix. I think we like that we do a mix of geocaching and some other items too. We've done, holiday gadgets before. We've done, we're going to do every. This is the third year. First year we did holidays in Ireland with Sarah, Sarah McClarkey. She's going to be back on. Her and Angie are going to do a show together on blogs with a B. And that'll be interesting to hear their perspective. We're also going to do so first year geocaching or holidays in Ireland. Last year we did holidays in Australia. This time around we're doing holidays in England. We're going to have on Geo Paul, going to be on and talk about what it was like growing up in England and what things that they experienced that maybe we did in the States, maybe we didn't do in the States, maybe they didn't do in Germany or wherever you happen to be listening from. And so that should be interesting to hear those stories and all that. So, and we've got other things. Vloggers will be back. Joshua has a good lineup for the vloggers and other surprises. So again, we raised last year we raised over $2,000 for St. Jude's Children's Hospital, and I think we're shooting for 3,000 this year. So
that's going to be a tough one,
but it's fun to set a goal and go for it.
Yes.
So, and it's such a great cause, and an important cause to battle, childhood cancer. And it's always good to have Christy come on too and tell us about her experiences working there and hear those stories. So the goodness things.
Yeah, it's a great place, and I can't think of a better organization for us to pick for our annual, fundraiser.
Yes.
So,
speaking of fundraisers, I want to mention this when we have to kind of. We don't have, even he doesn't have a lot of detail, but I'll try to give you the information that I have about Eric. EJK PBR, one of our patrons, has he's got a website set up or somebody set it up for him. It's called it's GoFundMe.com/support for Eric. Eric experienced, I'm gonna give you the rough details, but you can go out and find out more of the actual details. But he experienced some problem with his foot, and I thought it was more recently, but he actually was back this summer and experienced some redness in his foot, and that grew into a bigger problem. They never. Even to this day, they don't even know what caused it, but he is battling to keep his foot. That's how horrible this.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah. So his medical bills, of course, have mounted. As anybody knows, when you do something like that, it gets to be can be horrifying, but. Eric, him and Sodak Zach have found a lot of caches together. EJK PBR, we got got to hang out a little bit at Geo Woodstock. There was no issues there. But yeah, he is in a point now where it's pretty dire, and so they're trying. He's going to see specialists, and he's trying to figure out. They're trying to figure out a way to save it. So, I just wanted to mention that GoFundMe.com/support for Eric. Let him know, as a fellow geocacher, that's sort of that community that we live in, is that we support one another, and it means a lot to him if you would, if you even if you gave him just a couple dollars, just the fact that even though you may have never met Eric, but you feel for him as a geocacher.
Yeah, he's one of us.
Yeah,
He's
and you'd
part of the geocaching family.
Yeah. So, webcam watch.
Yeah, so instead of the whole number, the numbers really hadn't changed that much, but the concerning thing is there are 11 currently disabled worldwide.
Oh my.
One of those is in my home state, so hopefully they will come back up, and they're only temporarily disabled, but I know the reviewers are watching those pretty good to make sure people aren't just doing, selfies
right
at them, but maybe they won't go away, and I'm hoping to finish off. Well, it looks like we are going to finish off the year with over 100 still in the U.S. So
that's good. That's good.
Yeah, so that's not too bad.
Love to see there be a push to get webcams back by geocaching.com, but whether they do or not.
Yeah, again, there's that balance, right? If they come back, then they're not rare, and we wouldn't really care.
Yeah, that's true.
But I'd like to see them tie them to the what do you call it? The big the geo tours.
Yeah.
Then they're not a lot coming back, and it's it's part of a pay thing, so they're even more rare. So you're going down there; it's even more of an incentive to do those tours, and it still keeps them rare, but they're always going to be in cool places, monitored by the business because they pay a lot of money for that.
Right.
So
no, I like that idea. So, yeah, very good. All right, into our topic for tonight.
Yeah,
geocaching memory lane. And our notes have got a mishmash of things in them, but I think we'll be able to sort through them.
Oh yeah.
But a couple things that I think is important to point out or mention, and that is with geocaching, with old geocaches, there's a couple things we want to talk about tonight. One is the fact that it means a lot if you're a person that is interested in Jasmer.
Mm-hmm.
And most people know that watch the show about Jasmer. Jasmer, in case you're not familiar, I'll mention it real fast. The fact that it's a challenge, and it is one where if you find a cache from every month going all the way back to the beginning of geocaching, then you'll have completed Jasmer. The irony, or the kind of the joke about it is, of course, right now it's November 4th. A lot of people don't have Jasmer completed. And most everybody, because you'd have to find one like your Jasmer's not complete right now.
Let's
maybe
see.
You'd have to find one that was published in November of 2018.
Yeah. Well, technically,
yeah,
some of those challenges. So there are some iterations of the challenge out there that don't count the most recent year.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
They only count the first 10, 15 years or whatever. They're not counting the last couple months.
Not a huge deal, but
I know that's one of those moving targets, right?
Right.
But see, mine always is current because I go to a weekly geocaching event.
There you go.
And that one's published that day. That's the date of that one is that day. So mine always stays current. But how did you have you completed Jasmer?
I have not yet.
Okay.
I've got a few 2001 caches, and I need to get on them because there's no guarantee they'll be around.
No.
I mean, that's the one thing.
It's easier than 2000, but yeah.
True. But I think my 2000 is pretty wrapped up. But 2001, I need to finish it up. But it's the interesting thing about old caches is a lot of them have really stood the, like you said, have stood the test of time. We'll talk about.
And while we're talking about Jasmer too, it's interesting to mention because we have so many international people in the geocache talk community. It's a lot easier here. It's a lot easier here in the U.S. to complete Jasmer than it is in other places.
Yep, that's true.
Actually, you can complete the first 3 loops of Jasmer in the U.S. The 4th one you have to go international, but everybody else has to go international anyway. So,
right.
We have a big advantage on that one.
Yeah, and that's again, that's something cool. Now, there's no guarantee because there's some months in Jasmer there's only one.
No,
I think right. No, is there a couple that have 2?
4.
Oh, there's 4. That's right, because you can do loops. Yeah. That's right.
So, but there are ones that only have 4. So you can only have 4. You can only do it 4 times.
That's right.
But it definitely gets a lot harder. Some of those early ones.
Yep.
And if one of those goes away, then that loop is gone.
Right.
You just can't do it anymore. So you can't, with the exception, I guess, of the ape cache, old caches don't come back. So if they go away, that was a special case, obviously, but
yep.
And I don't care what anybody says. I'm glad it came back because I'm going to go get it. So
right, exactly. So let me ask you about a couple of these really old. Well, let me ask you in general about the really old ones, like these 2000, 2001 ones.
Before we get to that, I want to mention a couple other challenges, though.
Sure. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, go for it.
And then we'll get into the details of it later. So Jasmer's not the only one for the oldies, right? There's also like the golden oldies challenges that are find 5 or 10 of the oldest caches in several states.
Oh, okay, cool.
Find like the oldest cache in 5 different states or 10 different states or countries or provinces or whatever. So those are pretty common challenges too outside of the Jasmer that a lot of people work on.
Those are kind of cool ones, though.
Get a few of those around here. I've seen a few of those and signed a few of those over the years.
Right. Are those Project GC
a bull?
A bull? Are they? I mean, could you create one today?
I think so.
Okay.
I think
I wasn't sure. Because you should be able to.
Yeah, you can, because I have one. Never mind. Yeah, you can.
Okay. Yeah.
I forget sometimes. I've got several.
I know. You have to go hunt sometimes, figure out if some of these things can be done. But okay, so that's one of you. A person could set up. A cache owner could create one even to today.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think because it's something that they can automatically check for. Like you can run a query and check this is the first one published, with the exception, and I don't want to get into that for this show. It's for another show, but stupid puzzles out there that are like the published date is 1901 or something. I'm like, no, stop! You're messing up stats.
I know.
I know why they do it, and that's kind of fun that what they're doing, but it still messes it up. And they're trying to stuff. But that's another show. Now let's get into the oldies.
Okay. Yeah. Let me ask you a couple things. So, oldies. They. Do you think the old caches that you have found have been fun to do? And I guess for you, we got to kind of talk about. We actually kind of have a sort of a similar list of our oldest. We put in the notes our oldest, top 10 oldest. Of course, Mingo, Missouri's First, Tarryall, Potter's Pond, Tombstone. We'll talk about different ones, but so I'm going to ask a couple things. So, were they fun to find? Was there a cool hunt?
So yes and no. It's cool because they're old, but some of them are cool on their own. So we both found Mingo. I've been to Mingo like 3 times because I just happened to drive through there, so I stopped by there and get the other caches around. And for some people, or however you say that one nearby, is be a lot better. I've kind of been saving it. I haven't gotten it yet because we go through there every once in a while for trips.
That's that's north of Mingo.
Yeah,
a little bit substantial,
like 30 miles or something, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a trek up to Arikari.
Some people say Mingo is nothing special, but it's kind of neat because it violates current rules, or did violate current rules,
right?
Because it was so old and it's buried in the ground. I don't think I can spoil the oldest living cat.
No, you can't.
Well, for some people that hadn't found it, but
that's true, and it's not really it's buried, but not. It's sticking up. So I mean, people have seen photos,
Well, it's
but
different every time I've gone out there. So
is it really?
yeah.
That's cool.
So it's been in a different like container each time I've gone out there.
Oh wow.
Um,
It's
but
still in that cement cased
yeah,
location. Okay, right.
but it wasn't a bad cache. It just,
Yeah.
it wouldn't have like 8,000 favorite points like it does now if it wasn't the oldest active cache, right? It standing
No.
alone, if it was published today, you'd be like, oh, that's cool. It's not under a bush, but it's not,
No. And there's not much to find. I
no.
mean, there's a worn path
Yeah.
that it's like you can't. If you can't find Mingo, we need to talk because I don't
Now,
think you can geocache.
I wish. So I found Mingo earlier on, and I think it was 2012. So I'd been caching not that long, right? Like really caching not that long.
Right.
So I didn't even know the significance of it when I found it. Like I hadn't heard about it before. I didn't know. So this kind of sucks that I didn't know.
You sort of stumbled across Mingo.
We were driving through there, coming back from Tennessee to Colorado, and we took that route. And I was like, that seems like not many numbers on that GC code. And I looked at the date. I was like, that seems pretty old, but I didn't know tons at the time, So
right.
But I wish I would have known, had to build up ahead of time. It would have been kind of cool. But
yeah.
And then so we both found Missouri's first, Watts Mill.
Yeah, Watts Mill, and this is the one that I was thinking of before we first started the show. I wanted to talk to you about. By the way, Mingo's GC30.
Yeah,
most people know that. It'd be interesting to see if somebody had chronicled the photos every year of what GC30, what Mingo looks like every year. That'd be kind of
probably
cool.
look in the book and look in the photo album and see.
That'd be kind of fun. So Missouri's first.
This is it's a pretty area.
Oh, it is. It's a fun little hunt to be honest with you. I mean, Susan and I, we did it when you and I were at Moga a couple years ago. That's when Susan and I ran out to Missouri's first at Watts Mill. But when I found it, it was a ammo. It was a mint tin.
It was a Tupperware container when I found it.
Tupperware container.
Yeah.
So, it was a little bit, it was, I wouldn't say it wasn't a hard hunt, but you had to kind of get back in the little area.
Decent cache.
Decent cache.
Yeah.
But the container is, well, you and I found two different types of containers for that thing. Right. So, as we know, sometimes the container makes the cache. This one, the container does not.
Yeah, those are just average container. Right. It's an average container.
Yeah. But
Go ahead.
I was just going to say that is a cool find because it's June of 2000.
Right.
And it's significant for what it is. But the container, I kind of like Mingo's container. We were talking about containers.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
kind of like the weird way they've done it with the PVC pipe containers. It's kind of cool.
So the next one for both of us is definitely different. Terriol. Yes. And that's Colorado's oldest.
Yes.
And it's cool because it's out away, you can drive and then like a really short walk right to it. But it's out away from town. It's not in town. You have to.
No.
And it's not a micro for sure.
No, not a micro at all. So yep. It's one of my not my highest elevated finds, but for me, it's up there. I mean, for you live in Colorado, you're going to have a lot of.
Yeah. Most of mine are a mile above sea level.
Right. So but for somebody who lives, down more near sea level, Terriol is altitude wise up a little bit. Terriol is GC18, and we're not going to get into the reason why the numbers are all.
That's for another show, right?
That's another show.
Not even our show. Other shows have done that, so we're not going to do that.
We're not going to do that.
I bet you though, a little piece of trivia. I bet it's the highest and oldest large you found.
Oh, oh yeah. No, absolutely. Because well, yeah. And that's one of the photos that I used this week. Also, was Susan and I at Terry Hall,
Yeah,
and pointing at. Now, when you found it, was it a Home Depot bucket like it is
yeah,
now?
it was.
Okay,
Owen from KC says during
right,
GC14er he drove a minivan right to it,
right.
and you could absolutely do that.
A minivan. Yeah, you can get pretty close.
You can walk, you can drive it to within 200 feet at the end,
Yeah,
something
you
like that.
can.
I mean,
The road gets a little funky toward the end there, but yes,
yeah,
yeah,
if
you
in nice
can.
weather, I wouldn't do it if it was raining or whatever. But
No, and
so
there's little pathways to get up to where Terry Hall is, and you can't miss it. It's a Home Depot bucket.
right, um,
I
hit.
missed.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Oh, I was just say real quick is that I missed the. Um, it's June 4th is when I found it was June 4th during, like I said, during 14er. It was published uh, was June 2nd of
Oh,
2000, and I missed it by a couple days. They had a 16th birthday party at
that's funny.
Terryall. They brought out cake and they had a whole deal, but for us, it wasn't timing wise. July 2nd wasn't a day we could make it out there, but we did it on July 4th, 2016. So
So what's crazy is you could have found it on its birthday, right?
right,
Even crazier, somebody could have been there out there that could have been their birthday.
right.
It's old enough now where you have semi-adults that can be going to caches that were published on their own birthday.
Oh, that's true.
Now that would be a weird one, right? You
That
find it
would
like
be.
18 years after it's published on your 18th birthday.
Yes. You found it 3:30 of 2014.
Yeah.
So, yep.
So the next one for me, before we get back to ones we have in common, is Potter's
Yep.
Pond.
Yep.
Now that one is a cool one, all on its own, because it's a
Now,
hike and it's in Utah, and
yeah, I was gonna ask you where that one is.
it's a really neat one. So me and a buddy of mine went and did that one, and we Jeep camped a whole weekend and went through Utah, found a bunch of caches, and this
Right.
was one of the main ones we were going for out there. And it's a nice hike, and I got tons of pictures from that one. It was pretty, and that was a good one. It would have been a good one even if it wasn't old. The
Right.
fact that it's old makes it very cool, ammo can and everything else. And there were some really old signatures in the logbook and stuff. So that's a good one in and of itself.
How old is that? Is the logbook fairly original, or is the original one at least
It,
still there?
I
You
think
think?
the original one was in there.
Okay.
If I remember right, because it was really, really old. I think the original logbook was in there. They may have been on a second, logbook or something from there.
Yeah. Right. But
But
it's still stuck in there. What kind of container is it?
it's an ammo can.
Oh, great. Perfect.
Yeah. So it was in good shape, a tree and a mountain, everything. It's
Yeah.
nice. There's no reason for that one to ever go away.
Oh, good. Good. Well, that's one of the months I do need. So then that's in Utah, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Cool.
In Utah, so south maybe of Salt Lake City.
Okay.
Um, we were all over the place. I'm trying to remember the directions. We found a lot of caches that weekend.
Right.
That was one of those drive straight, cache all day, pull over to the side of the road, sleep in the Jeep,
Right.
wake up, keep going. That was a fun one.
Those are cool.
All right, so now one that we did in common, which is also a really
Yes.
cool one, Tombstone.
Tombstone, which obviously for both of us is going to show up as our first multicache on our
Oldest
list.
one for sure. Oldest
Yes.
cache, yes, definitely.
Second oldest, I think, even to this today, Tombstone GC62. By the way, Terry All, I'm sorry, Potter's Pond is GC3B, isn't it? 3B? Yeah. GC3B is in boy for Potter's
And it'll
Pond.
be in the notes.
Yeah, it'll
I'll
be
all
all
these
in
in the
the
notes too. So,
yeah.
what's the
Tombstones.
oldest multicache? You looked that up, didn't you?
It's in Georgia. Yeah, I need to.
Okay.
I'll dig that one up, and we'll talk to here in a few minutes. I definitely. This is one of the I want to talk to you about, which is the very first multi-cache that was ever created, and some of the weird stuff about that one. But anyway, we'll get to that in a minute. But so yeah, when you came down, I took you out to Tombstone, part of um, your Jasmer slash 5,000
Yep.
slash Texas Challenge trip.
Yep. That was a
Yeah,
good one.
yeah, we had a lot of fun that day running around, finding all that. June 14th, 2017 is when you had found it. I'd found it a couple years before that, but it's like anything. If you want to show off, your babies. Come see the baby. This
That's
was not
right.
this one isn't a baby. This is more like, come see this old man in a nursing home that we really
Yeah.
like to talk to.
Life support guy.
Right.
Uh,
But you got to talk to him because he's really cool. But it's like, so when you were here, it's like, we got to go to Tombstone. And and this is something that you, of course, tell people as they start to plan for Geo Woodstock next year is you got to go out to Tombstone.
yeah.
Because as far as multis go, it's not a real exciting multi. Two stage
No,
now.
but as old as
No.
it is, yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, the hunt for the final. We talked about this, I think, before too. Is that the hunt for the final is a little bit of a hunt. I mean, it's a little bit. I wouldn't say it's a hard hunt for it. It's hard to get to it because you have to kind of work your way through the woods there to get to it, and then there's a lot of sticker burrs and not sticker burrs, but they're
Yeah, I remember getting stuck on it.
thorns coming out of the ground, and you got to kind of so it isn't hard necessarily to find. And again, the container's been changed many times.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, definitely. I think it was
so-
like a black taped up container when I was there, maybe.
Yeah, it's probably almost like a peanut butter jar container, I
Yeah,
think.
something like that.
So,
That's funny.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, it's still good. It's still in good shape, and I know it's been replaced and everything. They're talking about the oldest ones they found in there too. Somebody just mentioned GC19, which is one called Geocache. It's in southern Colorado. It's
right.
It's the only one of the oldest 5 in Colorado I haven't found.
Oh wow! I was going to pull out my list just to have it with me because it'd be easy to in the book.
Oh yeah,
2001 geocaches to find before you die. Look at that Mingo right on the front cover of the book. So
that is Mingo, and that is not the picture. I've got a picture of Mingo that does not look like that.
Doesn't look like that. That is cool though.
Mine was the metal can, and it's got white paper on the side,
right?
And it was it's a GC30 on it or whatever. But no, the next one that's on my list is one that you haven't gone for yet. But oddly enough, it's a good geocaching story anyway. So I went and found it a long time ago. And let's see, when did I find it?
April 5th of 2015.
But Zach calls one day and goes, "Hey, I got a layover in Colorado, and can you come pick me up and drive me to go find an old cache and then take me back to the airport?"
Right.
What other sport or hobby would that be a normal request, right?
Right.
Drive me to the mountains so I can run up a side of a mountain, and then sign a paper log and run back and drive me back to the airport.
Drive me back to the airport.
It was like at least an hour and a half drive from the airport.
To
this cache to take him to a cache where I'd already been before and take him back to the airport. But it was fun doing that. I mean, it was a pretty drive because it was in, it's Colorado.
Yeah.
But
this was a little tricky, by the way. It's called Paul Barclay's Stash.
Yeah. It's a hike.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. It's a difficulty, or at least, and this is the thing with DT ratings, even back then.
Right.
And hopefully nobody's ever changed it, but it shows as a difficulty 2, terrain 3.5.
So it depends.
Okay.
Like with anything, there is a right way to get there, which would match the terrain. Right. And there's the way that both Zach and I went to get there. Okay. The way that you're supposed to go there, and this is a really good cache anyway, but it's it deserves a lot of favorite points. There's another tie into it. Paul Barclay is an actual person that was a military guy, and there's some information about him and stuff.
Sure.
That's kind of on the side. Cool cache, but
Yep.
there's a trail to it, and that's a longer trail that you have to hike, and it takes quite a while to get up there. Or you can just climb up the side of a mountain,
Right.
and that's the way I went, and that's also the way that that Zach went. So it was a lot quicker, but a lot more dumb and dangerous.
Right.
But it's a few miles. I think the hike is to it.
Yeah, I'm
3.5
looking on
maybe
the.
a little generous.
Yeah,
But
I'm looking on the map, and it doesn't look like. I mean, it does look like it's a little bit off of the beaten path, and it's on the top of. Look at
and
the
it's definitely
elevation.
a gravel road to get back to it. You got to drive in to get to where you're going to hike to get to it, and
Right.
hike for a ways. You're probably not supposed to go the way we went, technically.
Right.
But there was no fence or sign, so yeah, it is what it is.
It was hidden in September 28th, 2000. It has 245 favorite points.
Mm-hmm.
It
and
has
it's a
been
good
found,
cache all around. It is beautiful out there. It's a great hike.
Been found 615 times. 6 poor souls never found it and never made it back. Oh, I don't know. They might have made it back, but they didn't find it. Yeah, that's a cool. So, what do you think of? Well, like you said, this one has everything going for it, right?
Everything. Ammo can, container, information in there about the guy, good hike, beautiful location. And that's an A+ cache all around, whether it was old or not.
Right.
So that's a good one.
Got everything going for it, and it's old. It's like you said, it's like a bonus. Even if it wasn't an old one, it would be well worth going to.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Very cool. Paul Barclay stash. You got to. It's interesting how they called them stashes even after. Mm-hmm. Well, it was 2000. They didn't know it was
still 2000. Yeah,
they didn't know the name was going to change at all. So that's kind of cool. So you also have one that's interesting. The unoriginal stash.
Yeah,
Which GC 92, and it's out near where the original was, right?
Yeah, it's the stash.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So the original cache obviously is not there anymore, and they put a plaque there in the ground.
Yep.
There's actually an ammo can about 50 feet or 20 feet from it, so you can actually sign a log and stuff too. So, that one's cool. Well, there's a plaque, right? A plaque to a place in history. So, that one's kind of cool, and it's a cool drive to where it is, and it's right off the road, so it's easy to get to. But I mean, that's that iconic picture that everybody takes when they get next to the plaque. They're squatting down and the little plaque on the ground.
Right.
That one's cool because of the plaque. It's a pretty cool one. Plus the location it's in, it's a good area too. So
yeah, and so this one's actually, like you said, it's in memory of, located very near the first one. But it's a little ways away from it. And the thing is, now it's been there so long, it's kind of become its own little, like, thing to trek to. Mm-hmm. And it fills your October. It's October 2000.
Yep.
It's got 1,460 favorite points. I mean, we're not going to get into favorite points tonight. That's for another show.
No, that definitely.
But
that can mean so many things.
It could mean so many things, which it does, which is okay. But you're given. Yeah, we won't get into it. But it is an ammo can, right? When you found it, I think it's still still an ammo can. That's cool. And I'm glad they put one nearby.
There's something for people to sign. So
right. Well, it's not just the plaque is cool, and and being at the first location is cool enough. But it's neat that there is a cache nearby, an
actual cache. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not just it's an actual that they put one there. So that's kind of cool. All right.
And then I just have a couple more on my list, but then we have some in common. But I did one in New Hampshire, but that was just an average. That was neat because it was the first one in that state for me. But And then it gets back to the ones that we have in common, I think, right? Yeah, a walk
Yeah.
in the park and no walk in the park, which is a little bit confusing.
Crazy names. A walk in the park. I was just out at again a few weeks ago. Took some guys out, my little motley caching crew, and it's that's a whole interesting thing. Is these guys have all been caching forever,
Hmm.
and they I don't think they'd ever been to it. This is their first time at a walk in the park. It's old.
Not
It's
everybody hunts for old caches, though.
they don't. This was October 3rd of 2000 is when it came out, and you're right, and that's fine. That's when we've talked about if you're if you have that's the beauty of geocaching. If you don't want to find old caches, don't find old. Go forget it. Don't do any old caches. Do what you want. You know, that's the beauty of geocaching is if you want to find just old caches, knock yourself out. Go find all the old caches.
Yeah,
You know,
I
find
like the
some.
old ones. Do you hunt for the
Oh,
old ones?
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, a couple of things that I really like, and I don't know what the mentality is behind finding the old ones. Maybe it's because I'm old. I want to find old caches, but um, I like finding the old caches within a state because I think it really gives you an interesting perspective on. Like Susan and I recently found the oldest cache in Rhode Island,
Mm.
and you're like, that's kind of interesting. Brenton Point is in. It's kind of it's a little bit of a hunt to get to Brenton Point, and it's one that uh, is. But anyway, a walk in the park. Did you remember? It's not very memorable. Do you remember going out to walk in the park?
Yeah, well, I do because it's memorable for me because no walk in the park and a walk in the park. We
Yeah,
found both of those.
right.
Um, one was I needed for Jasmer, and
Yeah,
one I needed for the double Jasmer.
right,
So, which I hadn't finished double Jasmer yet, but both of them were strategic spots that I knew I needed. So
right, right.
they were both, and one, well, they were both in parks, but I mean,
Yeah,
one we had fun, we were goofing off, and that was that special one or whatever.
yeah.
But the other one was, it was okay. I mean, it was an average, it wasn't anything like groundbreaking, but it was a nice
No,
one.
it's the park is has really kind of expanded from what I think it was probably. Well, I know it is from when it was placed in 2000.
Hmm.
I'm sure it was almost it was out in the wilderness at that point. And there's actually the park has kind of grown. So you really kind of walk through a literal park with picnic tables and pavilions and all that. I know all that wasn't there. So you kind of walk back, and then there's the river. River. Yeah, it's a pretty good sized creek. You can't just cross it. Uh, you kind of need to go over to the bridge to cross it. And there's a bunch of caches, by the way, back behind that one. And we would that was what we were doing that day was those caches way back in the woods there. And
Hmm.
that is if you're in the area and you want to like spend a whole day geocaching for really cool caches, including a walk in the park. That's a cool area. So, a walk in the park, GCA1, A is an apple one. Um,
That's a cool GC number anyway.
it
It
is
seems like it would be the first one, but
right. But you go through the park a long way, and then there's a little bit of hike. No hike, not really a hike. There's a little bit of getting off the trail
mm,
to get back to an ammo can and
cool.
sign it. It's a little tricky now. It's always been kind of that way, but the next one's the one that's kind of funny. No walk in the park.
Yeah, we had fun on that. We've talked about that one on the show before,
We
but
have. We'll go into a lot of detail. GC C9, and that's the one that's. I guess it is near a ditch, and it's. We had a lot of water, so apparently it's pretty close to the water. But
that's the one that was traditional. That was also kind of a puzzle slash letterbox.
yeah,
I mean, it was yeah. It was. I guess it was before. So it's when did Mysteries come out or Unknown come out?
good question. I've got it in the notes down at the bottom there. First mystery cache was Octopus Garden.
Okay.
Cache is on. It was September of the year 2000. It was a
Must
simple
have.
puzzle
Okay.
created by Adventure Tom, started a movement that includes paper and pencil conundrums, online searches for obscure facts, field puzzles, some other. So that was the first mystery
So this was still
cache.
around that time. So it was a traditional, but it
Right.
also you could classify it as a couple different things because they described to go to a couple different locations. So maybe multi events. This is pretty early on, so it was
Yeah.
kind of a little bit different than a regular traditional. It's not where the GZ is.
No, it's
So
not. It's not where we learn. Jesse and I searched GZ. There is
and
no
it's definitely not
cache.
at GZ.
There's no cache at GZ. We know that. In fact, the clues
And if you're going to be
for
dumb, do it live on Periscope in front of a bunch
right,
of people, right?
yeah. Oh, perfect. Why not? You know, a couple podcasters who are trying to do a show, and it's like, yeah, we're gonna walk up, we're gonna do
Yeah,
a
we're so
Periscope.
smart.
Everybody's gonna love it. And 30 minutes later, we're like, "Who's still on here?" Oh, Burks is on here, laughing at us. No, he wasn't laughing, but still, I'm sure
He should
some
have
people
been.
were. He should have been.
So I posed the question in the chat room, and I'll pose it to you
Yeah.
next.
Okay.
How many? And because I know you go after these, how many oldest state caches have you found? The oldest cache in the state.
Right.
Do you know?
Um. I don't. I need to find more, but I've found we've uh, New
Texas for sure.
Hampshire, New
New
Hampshire,
Hampshire,
Texas, Colorado, Missouri.
Rhode Island.
Um. Yep. I think that's about it. I'd like to find more of them.
Did you say Kansas? You said that.
Kansas.
'Cause you got
Yep.
Mingo. Okay.
Yep. Kansas, Missouri. Yep. So, have you? Do you have your list? Do you know how many you
I
got?
don't know if it's current or not, but Colorado, where I live, Kansas is Mingo,
Right.
Missouri,
Oh, Ohio. I have Ohio too. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Keep going.
Nebraska,
Right.
Nebraska's like Big Red or Big Old Red or
Okay.
something like
Yeah.
that. It
Right.
was near Mega, New Hampshire, Tennessee, which is funny too because once again it was right down the street from my house.
Oh, how
But I found
funny.
like one cache and didn't cache until I moved. So
Right.
I could have gotten I could have started with the oldest cache in Tennessee, but I
Yep.
didn't. Oregon,
Oregon.
actually British Columbia also. So up when I was up visiting Canada, I got that one in the province up there. Utah,
Right.
Potter's Pond, Texas, down with you, and then Florida. That's the one where we came across a gator on the way to. It
Yeah.
was like blocking the trail, so that extended our hike for that one. But so that's
Christmas
only
cash.
11 of them.
That's good
So
though.
I think that's right, but I haven't checked it lately.
Right.
So
Yeah, I forgot about Ohio, and this is something interesting, and not really for tonight. Pardon me for tonight, but there's a lot of controversy over some. I know Alabama.
yeah,
There's a lot of controversy over which one's the oldest in Alabama. Ohio, the current oldest in Ohio is disabled. So,
that brings up a good question.
okay.
So let's assume for a minute it's disabled because whatever reason, and maybe the original owner is not in there anymore.
Right.
Well, you can't adopt those out if the owner's not active anymore.
And why do they not let them adopt the old
I
one?
don't
Do you
know.
know? Okay.
But one thing I would propose, just thinking of that off the top of my head, I don't even know if it'd work out right, is if you get a really historic one like that
Right.
and it's old and the owner's gone and doesn't do anything, I mean, they may have passed on. It's been 18 years right now.
Right.
People die, right?
Sure.
But what about instead of opening them up for individual cachers, they don't want to do that. What about opening it up to the state group to keep like a historic cache like
Yeah.
that running? I think that
I
wouldn't
like.
be a terrible idea.
No, I like that idea. I don't, and I think we need to keep these alive. The thing that I don't understand about this, talking about the Ohio, and again, Ohio it's controversial. I know people are going to be like,
Right.
it's not the oldest, whatever. It's either it or another one's the oldest. So we'll
Yeah.
put that to the side. Shawnee Lookout Cache. It was an ammo can, Jesse. I mean, it was an ammo can, and of course now it was a little bit of a hike to get to it,
Mm-hmm.
and it was um, obviously a geo trail. I mean, a huge geo trail to get to it. But I think
Right.
it's sad that that went missing. I
That
mean,
is.
who's stealing an ammo can like that? That's ridiculous. But
That was a thing for a while, though, wasn't it? I haven't heard about that lately, but it seemed like it was a thing for a while that,
people stealing, yeah,
yeah. You'd think, though, the oldest cache in an area, hopefully the state group already makes sure to take care of stuff like that.
right,
Community maintenance, like has been mentioned in the chat room, that's kind of a thing for older ones. People in general try to keep those going. But, if you had a new cacher that
yeah,
came in and didn't know the significance of one and put like a needs maintenance or need archive on one of those that the community's been maintaining,
right,
there's no way to get rid of that.
yeah, that's true.
If the owner's not active anymore, there's no way. And if it needs archive, that's the reviewer would have to step in and do something, or it's going to go.
Yeah.
It can't just stay like that. So
By the way, the update on this one is that it has been replaced, and um, the the reviewers have given it confirmed that the cache can be re-enabled. The owner just has to. It's being found, which is fine because
yeah,
it's.
but the owner may not even be active anymore.
I think the owner. I think it was adopted, and that's the other thing is some of these back then. This one is. It's the Greater Parks of Hamilton County of Ohio do own that
Oh,
one. The
oh,
Great
that's
Great
good.
Parks.
See, that's smart when they get that old like that.
Yeah, and I think that they moved it over to them. Um, it's been a while back. I'm not sure what the date was on that,
Yeah.
but anyway, so fortunately that one will survive into the future. But yeah, I don't know. That's a good question as to what you should do with that. But anyway, all right. Let me ask you about a couple of these
Okay.
as we start to get started wind down for tonight. So Earth caches, your favorite topic.
I know where the oldest one is.
Do you?
Australia.
You're correct. Well, it's in the show notes, so that doesn't really help, does
Oh, is
it?
it really?
It is.
Oh, I'm not going to look at it. So,
New South Wales, Australia.
yep.
First Earth cache. Every year, January 10th, they celebrate the birthday for the Earth cache. The good thing about Earth caches is you don't have to worry about the container going missing.
Yeah.
So, and
There
you've
could
put
be a
out.
natural disaster, though.
That's true.
I had that happen in one of my puzzles, my very first puzzles. We
Really?
had a flood, and it completely changed the whole landscape. It's like 30 feet below. There's
Oh
30
my
feet ground,
gosh!
30 feet higher than where it was when
Wow.
the whole area is different. So,
That's true. You could have something. I know we've seen where people have fires go through an area and it
mhm.
really changes the landscape. But
Had that
oh
too.
well. So first one, Earth Cache one,
Hmm.
a simple geocache tour of Wasp Head. In case you're wondering, we talked about the first mystery cache was Octopus Garden. Oh, I know. I want to ask you about. Couple of them. I want to ask you about the first multi cache, and this is weird. First multi cache is Missouri's second Odessa confluence. It was hidden in 8/1 of 2000. It was the first cache initially listed as a multi cache. Um, so I'm sure there's a whole story back behind. Like you said, the one we talked about, not no walk in the park is kind of a multi cache, but it's not. Wasn't
Right.
listed that way. This was the first one was listed as a multi cache. Um, it's older than the multi still active in Georgia. It was, but this is interesting. It was started as a traditional, and it was changed to a multi when the cache went missing and a new owner took over.
Hmm.
So is that? Well, it was legal. I mean, it's gone now.
Yeah.
Let's see. It was archived. Um, let's see if we can find it. Well, I can't find archive date because people write notes. Oh, there it is. Archived. It was archived on May 30th of 2003. So that thing was gone before most people have even started geocaching. I mean, I started in '06, so um, only found 41 times.
Mm.
But interesting though that they were, that they
Well, they were
uh
just coming out with stuff back then, so
yeah, yeah.
they were
And
trying a
we
new
haven't
type.
yep. And we have in the show notes all the different ones. The first ape cache, the first location list,
Mm.
first traditional we already know about original stash.
I really regret not finding a locationless one, but I never had an opportunity.
I know.
That is a bummer.
It is a bummer for locationless. And that's one that'll. I mean, I don't think they'll ever bring that back.
No.
We had Brian on the show, Brian Roth, the president. He was kind of indicated that I think they really do want to go in a different direction with some of those. They don't really want to bring back some of that. So, first, where I go.
Yep.
Where I went, Hugo. Rod Z placed this in London, England in 2008. So it was quite a ways back.
Yeah.
There's another Where I Go with a date of 2004, but it was originally a traditional.
And they switched it.
They switched it. It was unarchived and switched to a Where I Go, which is fine. I mean,
Yeah.
like you said. That one, by the way, is still active. You can go get that one. It has 41 favorite points. It's in London.
It's only got 41 favorite points, the oldest one. That's a bummer.
Oldest one. I know. It's been found 138 times.
That doesn't seem like a lot.
Well, it is a Where I Go. I mean, come on.
Not everybody's that cool.
I'm kidding.
Probably only works, once a week or something. So
right. First letterbox. This is kind of a weird one too because letterbox has been around forever.
Yeah.
The first true letterbox hybrid was called Open Space 6. There was, of course, a number of cross-listed letterboxes in the past, but the icon was made available, and this was the first legitimate hybrid hidden January 15th of 2001. Interesting thing, too, is a lot of people don't realize this, but if you go to a letterbox hybrid, you can treat it like a regular geocache. You don't have to do the whole letterbox.
Right. That's not even part. Yeah, you don't have to stamp
part of it. You don't have to do it. Fun to stamp it. It's fun to do, but I think people are like, oh, I can't go get the letterbox. My stamp's not ready. It's like
we should do a show on letterboxes because I have a lot of thoughts on those.
Okay, so, I like that.
First, good and bad, but some are good and some are bad.
Yeah,
so
some are. Yeah, I'm with you. First virtual Rift Valley. Also, year 2000 list was placed as a divine cache. Not sure what that means. These divine caches were placed because they were directly on a crosshair of latitude and longitude. This particular one in Africa on the equator at 36 degrees east. There's an older virtual in Australia, but it was converted to a virtual after the traditional geocache was removed. It's in a national park, so a lot of times national parks don't have those. So, first event was down here in my neck of the woods, down Austin's Geocachers Happy Hour. What's interesting about that too is that it was because it was the first one, and so they kept it around. So, so it was 2001 is when the event took place, but there was some confusion. People keep going to that bar and logging it until it's archived. But
that's funny.
I mean, people didn't know. First mega event, Geo Woodstock 4. We talked about that was here in Texas. First Giga was Project Munich 2014. Over 7,000 people attended that crazy thing in Bern, Germany.
That is crazy.
Wow. First Cito. Yeah, first Cito in Minnesota. And this was kind of also unique in the way that these kind of have come about, and that was that it was available. It was available. That Cito was available until April of 2016. So the longest running Cito, 14 years.
That's funny.
Yeah. It was available also any day. It's an odd listing,
Oh yeah,
honestly. Yeah.
I've seen another one of those somewhere. It's not around
Uh,
anymore, but they had it for a while. You could show
right.
up at any time and log it and
Yep.
clean up in the park. Which is
Clean
kind of
up
neat.
and yeah, it's kind of a neat idea. So it was a bit of an odd listing as it was clearly a CETO, but it was called to Minnesotans to clean up anywhere in the state on any day. It was placed by Centrus. Purpose was commendable. Clearly didn't line up with. I mean, yeah, obviously didn't line
I
up.
think you could do it once a month too, right? I think that on that one you could do it once a month. You could
Oh,
claim it
yeah,
again.
you
Yeah,
could log that same
yeah, over and over.
cat, yeah, over and over again. Which that's gone now. First GPS Adventure Maze
Oh,
exhibit. GPS Adventure Maze exhibit was Minnetrista. It was in Muncie, Indiana,
hmm.
2007. So interesting. Um, First webcam, Houston webcam cache,
Hmm.
number one. It's gone, but that was the first one. Placed at the Houston Museum of Natural Science. I don't know. The webcam may still be there, but the cache is gone. First location list was please donate blood cache. Placed. They placed the cache in 2001. Um, so
Just wondering what the oldest current active webcam cache is.
that's a good question. We should do a webcam show too sometime. I think there's webcams are fascinating for for many different reasons, but
Mm-hmm. So it looks like it is the Leeds webcam cache in Yorkshire, United Kingdom.
oh, cool.
So
That's
I
the
probably won't get that one anytime soon, though.
well, yeah.
But it is the oldest active one.
Somebody take a flat Jesse out there and wave it and
That's right.
hold it up.
That's
No,
GC
we wouldn't.
24 CD, by the way.
24 CD. I like that. That's a cool one. Cool named.
What is that?
Yeah,
24 container difficulty.
there you go. And we would never do that, by the way. I'm just kidding. We wouldn't actually claim a holding up in the air type thing. Oldest unfound cache, conch shell horn, was placed July 10th of 2001 by Jeffrey Courier. Has never been found, so go find you an
Is that
FTF
Alaska?
on that one. No, it's out in the middle of the Caribbean. It's unfound. It's on a deserted island. So
There's a webcam that's never been found.
really, oh, that's right, the one in
Alaska.
Antarctica. Yeah, yeah. That was one of the came up in our GC World thing. I think was one of the, but so interesting. I think it's wherever you live in the world. I think it'd be fun to go find the oldest, whether you're in the States or you're wherever you are in the world. Go find the oldest. I think it'd be kind of fun to. If you got stories, obviously send them our way, geocachetalk@gmail.com. And I think I enjoy it. I like hearing stories from people who. I liked your story about Potter's Pond and you know the different ones that we've been to they're memorable. They're memorable.
Oh yeah.
You and I won't forget that. We'll tell a story for the rest of our lives about no walk in the park because because it wasn't a walk in the park. It was we had a great time, and I joked about, and that was your 5,000th, so it has so many memorable
Oh yeah.
moments for you. I kept joking about, well, looks like we just need to give up. He's like, oh hell, we're not giving up on this one. We're staying to find this one.
But it's neat, the historic, because if you think about it, people have been finding that same container, maybe the same container in the same location, go in there. The log could be the original log,
Right.
back to May of 2000, right? Potentially, which
Right.
is really neat if you think about it. So,
Yeah, I think that one has. I think the book in there is pretty old. I don't know if it's the oldest. I don't know if it's original, but it's got.
couldn't be the original one on that one. No way.
It's fun. It's fun to flip through it and look at them. you know,
I would definitely say if you haven't gone and done one, start with your own state first. But that's something I definitely add on when I travel now.
right.
When we're going to a new area. If there's any chance I can get to the oldest one in that new area of the
Yep.
state or whatever, I'm definitely putting it on the list.
Yep. Absolutely. Uh, they make for they make some fun stories. I mean, like you said, we've even talked about tonight that the container may not be anything special. I mean, we've talked about the Watts Mill in Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
It's gone. It's just the container is nothing now. But it's a fun little hike back in that little area, and
Yeah,
it and
it's a good cache anyway.
yeah, and some of them it's the experience of getting to them. Um, Kind of like Terry All, it takes some time,
Mm-hmm.
takes some planning. It's versus bingo. Well, bingo takes some planning because you're out in the middle of nowhere, Kansas. Sorry,
Well,
Kansas,
not only
but
that, it's neat to think that cache. Think how much an area may have changed over the last. We're coming up on 20 years before too long, so
yeah,
it's a long time for a lot of things have changed in a amount of time. So
yeah, and it is neat to see. So, all right, so I guess we've kind of done our final thoughts, but
yeah,
do you have a final thought before we wrap up?
no, I like the old ones, and I didn't get into it originally when I first started. I didn't know much about them, but it's neat for some people. Some people only hunt FTFs, but I would say it's something neat to get if you travel because they
Yep,
may or may not still be there, the next time. So it's a little historical piece, just another fun aspect of geocaching that not everybody's going to care much about.
yep,
But it's been pretty fun for me and for us anyway.
yep. Yeah, make your own memories. I think doing these, I agree with you completely. I think that they're well worth it for various reasons. But yeah, go find a really old cache. Go look in your area. Maybe there's some even close by that they might be 2000, but they might be 2002 or something.
Mm-hmm.
Or, those are, and go experience it and find, was it the original? I mean, kind of fun to find the original containers too, if you can. But I mean, if it's not, that's all right. At least give it, kind of think through or read through, you know, why a person put it there, and is this still the same owner? That's kind of cool to hear about. So a
Mm-hmm.
lot of history and a lot of interesting things that could go on with old caches. So we really think go explore, find caches, but find some of the old ones too. So all right, upcoming shows. So next week, Jesse and I are going to talk with again Alexandra Boylan and John Katie Graham. This should be interesting. Um, both in Hollywood. We'll talk with John Katie Graham. I definitely want to talk to him about working on Avengers, and he also worked on True Grit, the remake. Alexander's been involved in several things. I she she's in the show notes. She marked off one of them because it's no longer available. But I got to ask her about her. She used her voice for a game, an app on your phone about pizza, finding pizzas, and she was the pizza girl. So I'll have to add, but you can't find the game's gone now. But anyway, we got some cool stuff to talk to him about. We're definitely most of the time talking about At Your Own Risk movie. I liked the movie. I think you will like it. I think people will like the geocaching portion of it. Um, it they do a good job because there's a lot of things about the geocaches they find that aren't like traditional geocaches, but they point that out in the movie that like, well, these wasn't the movie. You have to see the movie to understand, but
Yeah.
they're not supposed to be true geocaches. It's part of this marketing thing. And so anyway, in 2 weeks we're going to talk about we'll have the big reveal wrap up show, give all the clues, six clues that night. And we encourage you to, if you're going to find one of them, you might want to watch or listen to the show closer to the area. I think some people are thinking about that, being in, you know, South Carolina or somewhere and listening to the show and then running out and trying to find it. But anyway, in 3 weeks, we're going to talk with Super Nate and Charles Watkins, Pathfinder 33, about
Mhm.
County Challenge. It's sort of a roundtable with the two of them. because they've both done it kind of interesting. Pathfinder 33 has found all the counties in Texas. He's found all the counties, I think, in Wyoming. We'll talk to him about that, and most of the counties in Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
Super Nate has done it a little different in that he's found he's got a line. I think it stretches all the way from the East Coast to the West Coast
Yeah.
of counties that he's found. So that'll be an interesting discussion to talk about that. So anyway, all right. Well, we hope you enjoy the show tonight. Email us your comments, geocachetalk@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter @geocachetalk or Instagram Geocache Talk or Memphis Mafia on Instagram. We're really enjoying our time on Instagram. And of course, the Facebook page. We have a page and a group. So if you're interested in one of those, facebook.com/geocache talk. Show can be found on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio. We're also on Spotify if you like listening to Spotify. Also on the Geocache Talk website, geocachetalk.com. Don't forget to click on the subscribe button below so you can see and hear the show on a weekly basis. Be reminded. And of course, tell your friends about the show and join in the chat room, which I was so busy looking at notes. Jesse was watching.
They were busy in the chat room.
The chat rooms, that's good. So shout out to the chat room. Thank you so much for being part of that and keeping the discussion going and hopping every week.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. Well, until next week, don't just talk about geocaching. Go find an old cache, a really old cache, and go geocaching. Good night, everybody.
Good night.